Yes. What's one creative thing you would do if you didn't care about the outcome?
Welcome back and happy Tuesday, turkeys. How long have we known each other?
We've known each other for 2 decades.
I am not apologizing for who I am or what I like or the people that I love.
How do I be a wife? How do I be a mom? And how do I be myself and all of that? You didn't see that coming, did you? Did you have an answer?
Oh, I feel like we're doing that.
Yeah.
I literally was trying to journal this with myself yesterday, and I sort of felt like we were doing the things. So, I mean, I care about the outcome, but we did the podcast or started the podcast anyway. We've talked about our side quest to try to have our own business, and we've started that process, which feels like a creative venture in and of itself. So I'm doing that anyway. Part of me thinks I would write a book, but that my ambivalence to book writing has more to do with my lack of commitment to time, I think, versus my fear of the outcome.
Yeah, I can see that. It's very time consuming.
Yeah.
Very.
And it's just I can only have so many projects running at one time.
Exactly.
And then I also think in a dreamscape, it would be really fun to do open mic nights. But I think I care less about the outcome and more about I can't stay up past 10. And that's when they all start. And I'm not in like an area where there's really that many options either.
That's so trying to think about the timing. Because you do go to bed early.
Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock on a Thursday or something is when I do random comedy nights here. And I just, no chance.
I know. I feel the time constraint thing because I would love to do like in-home bakery sourdough situation, but it's like so time consuming. Like it's so fun, but it would be so difficult to actually maintain. Is that my excuse? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I know I'm really trying to evaluate. Is it my fear of how it would go? Although we touched on this last week when we talked, because you were kind of saying like once you start something, then the worry of it not going well, which with our business discussions, I have had that thought like, oh no, we're going to start this. And then if it's a flop, I'm going to be an embarrassment to my family.
But not necessarily because it's like, at least your family can see you going for something.
I know they wouldn't actually think that. So there is a part of me that's still, I'm out here talking like I don't care about what people think. I definitely do. But you and I have both pushed through that anyway on some things, and then others it maybe is a little more intimidating. Maybe doing this podcast was
a good
exposure therapy because it was out there right away, and I've gotten a lot of my heebie-jeebies of what people think out of my system.
And again, I feel like it was so clutch for us to have each other to do it with, because if one of us was feeling a little hesitant, the other one would be like, well, we're just going to do it this and we're going to go for it. And then the opposite. Yeah, as far as I was thinking about our little ventures in life while listening to this chapter, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I know there was a part where she was talking about like the biggest takeaway for me was being creative and doing something you're passionate about doesn't mean you have to suffer. Like the cliche suffering artist who's
And the starving artist.
Yes, thank you. And she's like, you can have fun with it. And it could be serious and it could be professional or it could be meaningful, but it doesn't have to be created out of suffering and depression.
And misery.
Exactly. So I was like, that's a good reminder. It can be overwhelming at times. It could be evoking some fear or imposter syndrome sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's cool that we get to do this together and like have fun with it. And that's what I'm like, let's remember that, just to have fun with it and not care so much about being perfect right out of the way. Yes, we're going to create something that's professional and quality, but there's steps to it, just like our podcast, and we'll grow and we'll develop and we'll evolve. And it brought me back to like progress, not perfection.
I liked her version of that. I don't know if it's hers, but the way she said it was done is better than perfect. And we touched on this last week when we were talking, but that really hit home for me. And I also I really just enjoy in general how practical she is and talking about it. You don't have to put yourself in a financial pinch to create art. We didn't have to quit our day jobs to start a podcast.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're not taking your project seriously. You could argue the opposite, that you're making sure that you can continue to do the thing that you enjoy doing if you have a stable source of income from a day job.
Right. And it's like you almost don't as much as you're supposed to manifest and trust that it's going to work. And I'm claiming that it's going to be successful. As a lot of pressure on the creative entity, as you will, that she kind of talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, let's just let the creativity breathe and exist and flourish without all the added pressure of like, if this doesn't work, like we're all done for.
Yes, yes, yes. And then it does help you have fun.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be so, yeah, just miserable.
Something you said struck a bone and I forgot what it was. But it was, again, the done is better than perfect thing, really, just to me is such a good thing to know. Oh, the other thing I was saying is I don't think that for in context of the podcast, I don't know that I'm not afraid to do something or start something because of what people will say, but I do sometimes think I overvalue the reception of the episodes or the reception of the thing based upon the stupid metrics on social media or on the platforms. So this was a good reminder for me of that, because I think the ultimate barometer of a successful episode should be how we feel about it. And if we stuck to our guns, or we did something we were interested in, or we followed sort of the pull of curiosity versus the views on YouTube.
Well, yeah, it's like, it almost reminds me of like every episode that we do is maybe like a short story that she's written and she's tried to get published and it's been rejected. Like, yeah, there's probably some episodes. I still think we have a couple listens here and there, so that's great. But like, no one wanted to pick up her story, but then she had obviously some really big ones that people loved and resonated with. So it's like, as long as we're happy with what we're producing, knowing that we obviously want to keep growing, but having fun with it, doing what we feel is being called to us at the moment. If it doesn't hit a certain amount of numbers or views, then it's not the end of the world. Maybe next week's episode will. Just all random.
That was definitely my big takeaway. This cat is insane over here. It was a good reminder to kind of realign what I'm valuing, because it can get discouraging. I know you're not on our pages quite as much. I know you still track things and look at things, but you have life and people to keep alive. But sometimes I'll feel really good about something and then I'll go in and look and see that it didn't have the reception that I was hoping. And then it's easy to let that get you a little bit hurt or discouraged or wonder if you're really doing the right thing. And I mean, there's plenty of people who have a video places where it picks up later, or they do a whole podcast and it just sits out there in the ether. And then one day it gets kind of picked up and spun up and gets a bunch of views. So it was, again, it's me saying the same thing, but it was a really good reminder that I don't need to value the product based on the reception of other people. So my fear of their reception isn't stopping me from doing it, but I can let it get in my head. And I have in the past, gotten kind of discouraged by things. So I've really taken a break from posting shorts and reels and some of that content, because it just didn't feel inspired. And I feel like ultimately people connect with something that's genuine and earnest and authentic. So I'm kind of trying to check in with myself, even on some of that, like, little piddly social media stuff. If I'm not really feeling it, I don't want to force it, because then I don't have a good attitude and then it's not fun anymore. And the point of this was to be a fun, creative outlet. Yes, there's discipline, which we've demonstrated by staying consistent with the episodes every week, caring about the product, but I just don't want to make my focus be the views.
I mean, that's a slippery slope. I feel like you can get on, and you're right. You could put something out there and it gets zero traction. And then like 2 years later, something could happen and it goes viral. It's like the weirdest thing. Or you can't get to your viral video without doing all these other things first. So regardless of what that path looks, you're still moving forward, even if it's a tiny step at a time. And that's how I feel about, starting a new business or doing a new venture. It's like, when you think about it too much, like writing a book seems terribly daunting. Like, how am I supposed to write X amount of pages, create this whole storyline, character development, a whole plot? Like, that is crazy to me. Some people look at the same way with like trying to do business. It's like, there's so many steps and so many facets to create and maintain a business. Where do you even start? And that's why I'm like, okay, just watering it all down, and just if you just take one tiny step, even if it's like in half an inch every day, you'll be so much farther than you were last year if you didn't start at all. And that's what I always tell myself.
Yes, I like that perspective too. If you have started something and you aren't where you thought that you would be, you can choose to focus instead on how far you've come from the beginning. Like if we were just starting the podcast now, we would be with little poop microphones and a grainy image, just shitty editing. Yes,
well, we're still
and having
awkward,
like
this is
super screams and horrible feelings of nervousness. So I liked that reframing too. And the process, just like you said, trusting the process of just your own growth as you move forward, and that I just really think there's things you can't learn until you do them.
Correct.
You can't get better without practicing. And with some things like baking or cooking or painting or music, there are things that you could do that don't require you to share them until maybe you feel a little better about the outcome. But at least in the case of this podcast or, creating content online, we could have just recorded a bunch of things and then not done anything with them, but
we could have just gotten through the awkward phase, but knowing that, I would have been like, this is a waste of time, even though it wasn't. But I'm glad we just put it out there, because then you can hold yourself accountable. Because if it's out there and you're like, woo, I just realized we need to work on these 500 things to make it better.
Feel like a lot of the themes in this book repeat themselves, and we keep harping on the same couple of things. But I needed the reminder, especially about the perfectionism thing, because it's so easy to just be worried that you won't do something good enough, or you won't be as good as people who are already down the line, and feel discouraged from not starting something altogether. And again, going back to defining success as doing something and completing it, and then moving on to the next thing, and just, taking steps. And then also just the enjoyment of the creation of the thing. I mean, how much fun have we had learning how to improve on editing or how to make YouTube thumbnails? And I have so much fun doodling around in Canva, shout out to their software, and just cackling to myself about how funny I think something is. I want to focus on those moments and that enjoyment of that process, or when the spark hits on, oh my God, this would be such a fun episode, or finding a stupid meme that we want to talk about. Because that's what the reward is, and that's what's filling me back up in the midst of the drudgery of a 9-to-5.
Yes. Well, and I don't think, as to previous or working on not being perfectionists, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I used to be a perfectionist growing up. Recovering from that and just trying to enjoy the process is so much lighter and easier for your soul. It's like there's too much pressure. You don't have fun with it. Like, yes, we want to make a good product, but I'm not terribly worried about right now, because I know we have, like, we'll continue to grow. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't feel disappointed in the quality or the steps that we're at with us, with our ventures. Like, we'll get there one day if we keep going. And why be miserable throughout the process when, especially for us, like, we're doing this thing together. It's fun. It's building memories. It's building like a legacy of what we can look back on and be like, yeah, I did this thing with my best friend and blah, blah. And we won't be perfection immediately, but maybe we'll get close to it one day. I mean, is anyone ever perfect? But I think, like, childhood perfectionism, I've learned to let go of that, and it's been really relieving.
Right. Shout out to therapy, because I also think I unpacked a lot of that in the year that I was going. I think I've also realized a lot of perfectionism is just fear of vulnerability, because you're afraid of somebody seeing a flaw or of someone not thinking you're good enough. So for me, kind of realizing that and letting go of the need to control things all the time was a big piece in that process. But just like you said, it lets you then enjoy the process. It lets you enjoy the thing that you're doing, and not being so caught up in the final outcome, and enjoying what you're learning along the way. It's the whole stupid journey.
You gotta enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination.
Not the destination.
It's so true, though.
I mean, the destination matters.
Correct.
Let's not lie. But also thank you to my husband, because I get so tunnel vision talking specifically about road trips, about getting to the place.
Yeah.
I gotta pee in a jar and wear a diaper and fucking let's go and never stop. I mean, I'm not that extreme, but I could get really just, we can't stop. We can't make any diversions because we have to get there. Am I right? You know, and he just that looks cool. The number of times we've been driving and he's pulled over and turned around to go look at something, I can't even tell you. And then I'll be over there in the passenger seat, like, what do you do? Just go and go look at that house.
Okay, that's fun.
I've learned to chill the fuck out. And I've realized we've had so much fun on side tangents that we've gone on, or I was always of the belief that you had to go through a drive-through when you were on a road trip. And Jason's like, no, we can go sit down. We can go eat somewhere. Just chill out for a minute. Are we going to die if we don't get somewhere 30 minutes earlier than we were, you know, what? And then I sort of realized, why am I rushing? Why?
I can understand that perspective from how I was raised, which, no offense, is fine. Like, they had a mission and we had a limited time of vacation days. But I do agree, like, a road trip to me now feels like it's like the world is your oyster. Like, take 500 breaks, go off and look at the statue in this random town. I don't know. That's the fun part to me. I love road trips because you can just do whatever you want.
Now that we have the motorcycle. Yes. And now that we have the motorcycle, it's even more literally the point is the ride to where you're going instead of where you're going. But it's funny because he's also gets real tunnel visiony and he can be Mr. Rushy pants. But in that one area of our lives, it was a good learning curve. But that's the thing with your creative practice too. I think it relates so much that you can be in such a hurry and pressure cooker brain about making something or trying to get to a certain point with your art or your creativity practice that you kind of forget that the point is doing it and the enjoyment that you get out of doing it. And I don't know if it was this chapter, but she had the anecdote about the author who was holding a seminar and somebody in the audience was like, I've been writing for 10 years and it's been nothing but failure. And what should I do? And he said, well, quit. You should just quit. And, you know, she goes on to explain that the guy wasn't being a dick, but if you're miserable doing what you're doing, that's probably coming out in the work. You know, if you're just like, if you are a miserable sack of shit and you walk into a room, people feel it. So do something different. I think that was when the guy took a break and, I don't know, went and did some other side tangent and then ended up coming back to writing. In this case, it was writing. But I was like, man, that's such a good point too. If you get to the place where you're completely burnt out, and then maybe you should ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I just... Yeah, just absolutely. And if it's something that's your income, if you're a writer and that's what you have to do, then maybe can you go find a way to infuse some fun, some kind of creative fun in some other aspect, or go do something weird that you're not good at, or make creepy clay sculptures of ghosts, or, you know, just go do something off the wall that's funny and goofy and lighthearted to get yourself out of the drudgery. Which I guess maybe for me, when we do this and I get stuck in a rut, is coming up. It's why I love our bottles. Because sometimes if I'm having a hard time coming up with some kind of a podcast topic, or I'm being too serious, we need to have a profound discussion. It's nice that we do our little Saturday morning shit show episodes that can just be chaos and commotion and nonsense, and we can go follow a random thread.
Yes, I agree. It is fun and lighthearted. Check us out on YouTube, Nonsexual Soulmates. Anyway, so yeah, that's fun. Just have fun with it. I guess that's the point of the story.
Just have fun.
Just do the things.
I do. That's kind of been the moral of this thing, is you don't have to create a pressure cooker for yourself. So if you're working, keep working. You don't have to be a miserable motherfucker to create something of value. What you create doesn't necessarily have to be serious. And above all else, at least with creativity, you should be having fun.
I agree. That's what it's all about, right?
I mean,
it's a passion thing. It's to fill your cup. It's to not be sitting in front of a computer all day, unless that's part of your passion. But like doing your 9 to 5, like, it should be something that's fulfilling. And it may not be perfect, but it should be at least fun, at least a little bit.
And if you have that spark of curiosity, to follow it. And just go follow the thread. And if it turns out cool. If it doesn't, and it just was maybe a side tangent where you learned some things and then you come back to some other primary method of creating, cool. It's just, I don't know. The world's your oyster.
I love it.
I like the idea that nothing's a waste. Everything that you do is teaching you something new, and it doesn't necessarily have to turn into some big, magnificent treasure chest of achievement for it to have been worthwhile. And so many of us get so stuck on productivity and stuck on a traditional definition of success. And it doesn't make you any less of an artist if you work a traditional employee job your whole life and you create things on the side that you enjoy.
Exactly.
So especially if you have a family and you have people to feed and you have a mortgage to pay,
Yeah, don't quit your
it's
job.
okay that you do normal shit.
Yep.
You don't have to live in a cave and never take a shower to take yourself seriously as an artist.
Bingo.
There you go. So we're wrapping up next week. We're already done with this book.
And that's weird. But it's good. So yeah, our final thoughts next week.
Final thoughts. Okay.
Oh, I don't want to get what's it called?
Oh, yeah. Copyright jabbed.
Thank
Until next week.
you. Love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.